Hi everybody. Today we are going to review Serpstat. I've been using Serpstat for I think more than 5 years now, and a lot of people talk about SEMrush and Ahrefs, but actually Serpstat is a really underrated SEO tool, and it's actually pretty good. So I'll just kind of give you a little bit of an overview of like my account, how I use Serpstat, what are like my favorite features, what are the things that I don't like, what's the pricing, and I mean just kind of give you a general feel and like my review about it. All right. So, as you kind of log into Serpstat, you basically, see this review that, that you're seeing here, right? So I have and it always starts with projects, right? So I've got two sites, one is a baking site and the other is a marketing site, right? And both of these have their own projects. And the reason why Serpstat kind of splits these into projects is so you can have like rank tracking specifically for a domain within a project, and you can basically have multiple projects, right? So all right, let's just get started. I think so the first thing that I think that's probably one of the strongest points of Substack is their keyword research. All right, so it's a very comprehensive. In fact, Serpstat was originally a keyword research tool, and then they kind of expanded on their capabilities. So it kind of makes sense that that is kind of like their most powerful tool. So I'm just going to kind of give you a little bit of an overview, right? So this is kind of like the bar, right, where you can basically choose the domain or the keyword research, but it's quite smart in its own way, right? So let's say, for example, I am looking for um, let's say we want to do research about content optimization tools, right? Or even like the best SEO tools. So as you can see, we got to go to keyword research here, right? So when I click here, um, what it does is it'll basically show you like the regular volume, the difficulty, how has the interest grown over time for that keyword, the related keywords, what are the keywords that are used for paid, and all sorts, and then require and it gives you a lot of very in-depth filtering options that I'll just show you in a minute, right? So as you can see, best SEO tool, right? And it shows you that it has 1900 volume, it has a keyword difficulty, PPC, and everything. I will say that, like with any keyword research tool, like I don't think these are anywhere close to the accurate numbers in terms of volume, but it gives you a directionally accurate idea, right? Like, when you compare it with keywords, you can prioritize which is the one that's highest. I'm pretty sure the actual volume would be like 5 or 10 times more, but it just kind of gives you a benchmark that, oh, this is a bigger keyword opportunity than the other, right? And to be honest, that's an issue with a lot of other tools, and I've also seen where there might be some keyword data that's in Serpstat which won't be there in other keyword research tools like SEMrush and Ahrefs, and then there might be some keywords that are there that won't be in Serpstat, right? So just something to think about, right? So anyway, when you search for a keyword, it'll give you the volume, and of course you can decide which markets, right? So I usually choose the North America and especially USA because that's kind of like my target market. But you can choose between, like, I mean, they've pretty much covered every country, so you can, they've got a pretty in-depth database, right? Now here, and so they'll show you the organic keywords, the paid keywords. This is a very cool, very cool feature. Like I don't think any of the keyword research tools have. It automatically integrates with Google Trends, right? So it shows you the Google Trends report of like how the interest for a keyword goes over time, which is pretty helpful, like especially when you're creating an article, right? And you just want, to see how the trend is going. Sometimes you want to put a graph, somewhere, and that, and they basically do that. And then they'll show you, your competitors in search. And this is a really powerful part of the keyword research tool, because it shows you which are like the competitors, where, they have the most common keywords for this particular topic, right? It shows you, visibility, how many keywords they're ranking for. It's pretty in depth, and then, you can obviously expand and see how many, right? And then it also kind of gives you a comparator graph, right? So it's much more than a keyword research tool. Now it starts getting into like the whole market intelligence game, right? So it gives you just an overall outlook that, all right, HubSpot is kind of like the leader in terms of traffic within, this topic, and then Search Engine Journal and Moz and Ahrefs are kind of like the next closest competitors, right? And then even within ads, right, it'll show you which are like the websites that are basically bidding for this keyword, and kind of gives you that, and then it gives you the exact copy, like what the ad examples are, and you can always expand on this, right? You can see what SEMrush is using, what ScaleNut is using, what Serpclicks is using, and then you can go into ad examples here. I'll get into it in a minute, right? But just like this is just kind of like the first view when you search for a keyword, right? Now what I tend to do is, let's say I'm searching for a topic, right? So let's take best SEO tool, right? I'm going to click on show all, and then it gets to the next part of it where it basically shows you the entire list, right? Now depending on what plan you're on, you can probably see like the first 100 keywords, or like the first 500, or the first 1,000. That completely depends, but it basically shows you pretty much of the keywords, right? Now, my plan restricts me to like the first 100 results, right? But that's usually not an issue because I can still see the others by just putting in specific filters. Okay, I'll get to that in a bit. But like for example, um, let's say, so they've got this filter in here, right? And this is where things get really powerful with their keyword research tool, right? So let's say I want to search for keywords which contain the word free in it. All right. And maybe what I also want to do is, you know I want to add an and basically means that this keyword and this keyword, right? And an or means this keyword or this keyword, right? So it depends, right? But for me, let's say for example I want all the keywords with free and volume, you know let's say lower than 50, and the keyword difficulty um, lower than 20. Okay, I'm just gonna try this out. I can also save this filter, right? So free keyword, because sometimes you've got keyword filters that are pretty much the same for a lot of different topics, right? Like within software and all of that. Um, but anyway, let's just put this filter in place, right? And so, as you can see, it limits you to the first 100 results of the report, right? But like for example, in this case, you maybe just have only 94, right? You can keep further filtering it down, but it gives you a really solid report, right? And then it also kind of gives you like additional sub features, like hey, this particular keyword has related questions showing, and this particular keyword has um like a PPC block, and this particular keyword has a featured snippet, right? And you can kind of prioritize in here, right? And it's just a whole lot of stuff that you can kind of do in here. And then what's awesome is you can actually export it out into Google Sheets, CSV, PDF, whatever you prefer, right? With any kind of data, right? So it's really powerful if you want to do bulk keyword research, if you want to do your own, research in here, and then you can keep filtering things down, and you can basically filter by volume, what keywords mentioned. I don't know what this filter toponym is, but I don't know, could be something, right? You can use misspell keywords, right? Like don't include these keywords. You can also, I love to actually use this one, right? Number of words in a keyword. And I'll tell you why, because this is a great way to find long tail keywords, right? So let me just kind of give you an example of what I'm talking about, right? So I want to see all of the keywords that are greater than or equal to 4 words, right? just really try to kind of get into that long tail, right? And like I've found this very powerful because in general like long tail keywords are less targeted by brands, and you can kind of identify things. So you can see here now, right? Like best free SEO analysis tools, 5 keyword. Um, just you know, this is another big opportunity, right? Like it's a pretty good tool. Just want to say that, right? So this kind of like just a simple of like if you want to do like keyword research, find particular keywords that work for you. If you want to dive deep into a topic, you can basically do that. The next thing that comes is related keywords, right? So it starts, it can also show you semantically related keywords, right? So um, there's particular, like for example, you can see best SEO platform, right? It's kind of related with best SEO tool, right? And SEO management tool, right? And again, all of your, you know, filters work here, right? So you can choose whatever filter you prefer or save any of these filters, and um, you can also choose to remove certain columns if you want to make this simpler, right? For example, I don't know, I don't really use connection strength. Again, another feature. Let me just remove that. And now it's a simpler report, right? Um, let's get to the third one, which is search suggestions, right? So what it also does is it kind of shows you like when you basically search for best SEO tool, right? What kind of keywords kind of show up when you search for best SEO tool, right? And then you know it kind of shows you these keywords. Again, super powerful if you're trying to find like best Shopify SEO tools. Like this is such a wonderful keyword, right? And you can also kind of filter by particular year or particular term, right? Maybe you can search for all the Shopify SEO keywords, right? Just something you can think about. Then search questions, right? So again, filters out the keywords and gives you which are the keywords that actually have questions in them, right? What, which, all of that, right? And in a lot of tools, a lot of times you have to buy separate tools for this, right? So there's a tool called askthepublic.com, and this, they actually do this only. They take a topic and deconstruct it, show you all of the what, which, why, when, and Serpstat includes that in their package. So you can see the search questions, you can see the top pages. This is again very powerful. If you want to kind of really analyze what a particular top ranking page is doing, right? It'll give you certain metrics, but then you can also go deeper into like what other keywords is this particular um, page ranking for. So I'll just show you that in a second, and help you kind of benchmark it, right? So for example, I can see that Oberlo is kind of the like this is the one that's ranking for 109 keywords, has 259 Facebook shares, and all sorts. And now I'm just going to click on this, right? And just like what you would expect, you can basically see all of the keywords that this particular article that's ranking for your keyword, also ranks for, right? So it shows you that it ranks for, best tools rank, and, search engine optimization tool, and, you get the idea, right? Um, all right, so let me just go back real quick, right? This actually comes into the URL analysis. Let me just kind of cover the keyword module, right? Then you can go into competitors. Okay. Again, like I mentioned, it'll give you like a full list of competitors. It'll give you, you know, um, certain metrics around them, and then you can go into each of these tools and do like each of these domains and do like a proper analysis on like, you know, what's the overall traffic, what keywords are they getting, are they ranking for, and then just do that, right? And and then they have this new tool which is not available to me, but it shows you which are kind of like the like the the yeah, I haven't even explored that, but they say get access to detailed analysis of top search results by choosing one of the yeah Yeah, so again, gives you like, more data about the top ranking pages for the particular keyword, right? Now, this is the keyword research section for organic search, for SEO purposes, right? If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can actually look at PPC reports, right? So now, if you want to see what kind of keywords that people are bidding for, that are related to your keyword, right? So for best SEO tools, people are also bidding for best SEO competitor analysis tools, right? And again, a great place to do keyword research and also a great place to do keyword research for your ads, right? For Google Ads. You can see your competitors, you can see your ad examples, I was telling you about earlier. This is again very helpful, just to kind of understand, what's kind of the copy people are using, and what's working essentially. This is really powerful because it allows you to even brainstorm the right meta description, for a particular keyword, or just identify what kind of copy works for ads, right? And then you can also kind of brainstorm landing pages, for ads, right? So oftentimes brands like, if you can see SEMrush or Wix, have their own very specific PPC pages. And if you want to see, what all, ads they're running for this particular page, what keywords they're trying, what does this page look like? It's a great way to deconstruct another competitor's paid ad strategy and then, take the learnings and create something for yourself, right? So this is just a quick overview of like the keyword tool, both for SEO and ads, right? Now let's get to the second bit. So I'll get into the domain analysis, right? So again, if you go in here, right, what you can do is, I'm just going to take, domain of a friend, a former colleague of mine, Brian Robinson. He gets a lot of traffic on his blog. Um, and when I click, when I put the URL here, it basically, as you can see, it shows you this domain analysis one. It's like, let's just kind of click on that. It'll give you a directionally accurate idea of like how much traffic this particular person gets, what pages, is this blog kind of ranking for. So as you can see, it says 500,000 traffic, which is actually pretty accurate, because if you see his side income reports, it's just around this figure. And it shows you all of the keywords. And again, you can go in here, do that exact same stuff that I showed you in keyword research, right? Look at all of the keywords it's ranking for. Look at their keyword position, distribution. You can also see their entire visibility, so how much has their traffic grown, over time, right? So like a very good analysis, so it probably peaked in 2020 and then kind of has reduced a little bit, right? And then just gives you an idea of like the top pages. Like I can see motivational quotes, is one of his top pages. Who he's competing with. He's got a blog about blogging and like a side hustle. And then these are all the competitors that he's competing with. And then again, shows you what his backlinks look like and all of that. But I'll get that in a second. But gives you a very in-depth idea of a particular domain, right? And again, just to kind of give you a full idea, right? You can see what keywords you know this particular domain is ranking for. What's the difficulty, what position are they in, what's the volume traffic, do all sorts of filters in here, again, like the ones I showed, and to just find the keywords that you want to rank for, find the pages and everything, right? So Serpstat, like I think the first thing is that keyword research is very good. And the second thing is that domain analysis is also very in-depth and very good for competitor analysis, be it your competitors in search, be it your competitors in ads, or be it your competitors, within product and within your market or software category, right? And then like as you go, you can go deeper into it. Like for example, what I can do is, um, I can compare the performance of three domains, right? So um, let me just try to find something, right? So Um, let's do that, and then um, loginx.com. All right. So, oh, okay. And I can even like add comparators, right? So I'm going to use Adam and Troy.com, right? And we're going to compare all of these. And this is something that nobody, like, I mean, at least not the top keyword research tool does it. Like, it's very difficult to do that in Ahrefs and SEMrush. This is a very good Serpstat feature, right? So now it shows you who's kind of like the Goliath, right? So I mean, like Adam is the one that gets a lot of traffic, and then Ryan is probably second, and then Milo is the third, right? And then it also shows which are kind of like the keywords that they're all trying to rank for, and what their position is. So, I mean, it's just super powerful for like competitor analysis, right? I don't even want to go into like how deep this is. Like this is a very vast tool, but very good for competitor analysis and keyword research. I'll dive in a little bit more into the competitor analysis, right? Again, you can do the PPC research for a particular domain. Now, there's another feature called tree view. I don't think I have access to that because that's for like the higher plans, but we have to double check. Um, I might be on a higher plan, but essentially, again, it's another way to kind of see like the top keywords, right? So again, it shows you, which is kind of like the you know top page, which are kind of like the keywords they're ranking for, and kind of gives you like these are kind of like the, how do I say, like the documents, right? So these are, every page is like a document, and each document is ranking for all of these keywords, right? So instead of going into each page and seeing what keywords it ranks, you can basically see that all in one report, right? Again, very powerful. You can, just experiment around with it, right? So yeah, I mean, like that's just a very small preview of the domain analysis tool, right? We'll also get into the URL analysis, which is kind of similar, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Rob, I'm going to take one of his. I'm going to take one of his articles, right? And just show you their URL analysis. Again, it's going to be very similar to the domain analysis, but a little bit more detailed, right? Again, shows you what keywords it's ranking for, what are kind of like the keywords, it's missing inside its content, right? And shows you ad examples. So again, if you want to do like a, very specific into a URL research on like what keywords it's ranking for, because sometimes a page might rank for thousands of keywords, right? And if you want to kind of find like the golden opportunity within that, like this is a great place to do that, right? And also discover who are the competitors and go in there and all of that, right? So we've covered domain analysis, we've covered keyword research, we've done URL analysis. Now let's get into the third more important bit, which is backlink analysis, right? Again, super important, especially in search when you're trying to rank. You want to see what kind of backlinks they have, right? So I'm going to take his example again. Let's look at Rob's backlinks, right? Um, so, no, not this. I need to search for backlinks. So as you can see here, they've got this metric, right, which shows you what's the strength of the domain based on backlinks, right? So Moz had domain authority, Ahrefs has domain rating, Serpstat has, Serpstat domain rank, right? Again, an indicator that how powerful is a domain based on their backlink profile, right? You can see, how is, backlinks have kind of, increased over, while how many new backlinks have come, and then again, see, where, like, what countries, backlinks does he have, see their anchors, and most importantly, see the actual backlinks themselves. Um, so you can go in here and you can find all of the referring domains, right? So he's got backlinks from all of these sites. Again, can be filtered out based on, you know, particular subdomain, particular domain rank. It's just whole sorts of fancy things, right? And perhaps you can find sites there, right? So this is domains, and then if you want to find specific articles where he's any site is getting a backlink from, you can see that there. And then there might be sometimes an opportunity where, let's say, a site is shut down, you can basically reach out to their backlinks and kind of pitch to include yourself in that, right? So you can see that these are all the backlinks. And um, what I really like about this is you can actually choose one per domain. So instead of showing all of the backlinks, sometimes a domain might get a backlink, like 20 backlinks from the same site. That just seems like a mess, right? So this way, when you click on one per domain, it'll show you, one page, one backlink per domain, right? And give you an idea like where they've got their backlinks from. And you can also kind of again filter it by you know is it a do follow, is it a no follow, how many new links did they get, what was the in the anchor text for that, what was the source, if they're if they have a .edu domain. Like, all of these filters are possible within that, right? Again, you can keep going deeper into it. You can see the top pages with the most amount of backlinks, you can see the anchors. There's a lot of it, but my point is it's very good with backlink analysis as well, and give you a good idea there. And now, one of the last things that I absolutely love about Serpstat is the rank tracker. And my God, it's super accurate. And I'll just give you a preview of that, right? So, every rank tracker is part of a project, which I was telling you earlier, right? And I'm just going to open one of the projects, right? It's going to take early stage marketing, which is one of my sites. And rank tracker gives you, you can choose to track the position changes for all of your desired keywords on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, whatever you prefer, and also kind of give you like a bird's eye view of like how you're performing, right? So this is kind of like a overall view of like, hey, here's my average position. It's probably dropped down 1.1 position, overall. And this is just um, like, I mean, again, like, it shows you that I don't have any keywords that are in the top one. I have three keywords that are in like the top two, three, and then just gives you an idea, right? And so as you kind of move along um in your SEO journey, you can see how these graphs move up and down, right? And sometimes it's also great as a KPI, right? Like, we want to kind of keep improving the average position. So like, if previous month was 19, this month it should be around 18, like all of that, right? And so these are all my keywords, and for every keyword I've designated like a particular page, right? And so this is the one that I've defined, and this is the one that is actually ranking, for that particular thing, right? So sometimes there might be a mismatch where I want for a keyword a page to rank, but what Google shows is completely different, right? And this gives you that and gives you a mismatch, and then shows you, how your positions are changing, right? And keeps showing that. So I've got a daily rank tracker set up, so every day it just updates it, right? And now here's where you can do. So you can obviously choose to update positions immediately, but I'll show you the best thing about the rank tracker. And this is a report that I basically see every morning. Like, this is the first thing that I see when I start out, right? So what this report does is, let me just give me 1 second. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the last 7 days, right? And now it gives me like an entire timeline of how things have been moving, right? And this is a very powerful. So so what I can see is that you know all of these keywords with the stars have basically the desired page that's ranking, right? And then I can see how it's moving, right? Like, so for example, this one which I just published, I published this page on like 14th of November, so obviously it didn't rank then. On 15th it was at position 60, 16th there was 10, at position 10, and 17th position 7, right? So this one's kind of going up, 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 right? And then there might be a particular keyword that might not be doing well, right? So for example, this keyword I'm just not ranking a page for. I don't know why. Like just trying to take an example of like this one, for example. This one went from 14 to 16, right? So perhaps something to think about, right? Like maybe a change didn't work out in my own way, right? And you can, like, this is a very powerful view just to kind of understand how the keywords are performing as such, right? And you can always add a new keyword. You have this beautiful graph that shows how things are kind of moving. And then you can add tags. So for example, there's a particular set of keywords you're focusing on for a specific quarter in the year, right? You can tag those as quarter 4, quarter 1, and then see that there. You can see the history over the last 30 days, last 30 365 days. Basically when you start tracking it. And this entire history is just, it's so great to see that timeline of like how your keywords are moving, right, for a particular how their positions are changing, right? And so this is probably one of the most used reports for me in Serpstat. Like I think I get probably like um one third the value of Serpstat from this, one third or even half. Like this is the best, one of the best bits about Serpstat, right? Again, you can export it out, you can filter it, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the positions history, right? Again, you can see the comparators, how the comparators are performing. You can basically list out comparators for every project, right? You can do that. You can also look at the SERP history, right? So how have the SERPs been moving, for particular keywords, right? So for example, I want to see banal beats apps, right? I can see. Just give me 1 minute. I can see that these are all the domains that are moving, and then these are the ones that went up, down. It just, instead of you kind of going into Google, it shows you that, and it shows you like the entire timeline, over the last 30 days, 70 days, all time, whatever you want, right? So Rank Tracker is super powerful with that, right? Now, this is probably one of the last features. There's a lot that you can go into Serpstat, right? Like, so just to kind of give you a preview, I don't have that feature, because there's a higher plan feature, but you can do a batch analysis of keywords. Instead of doing one keyword research, you can do, like multiple keywords in a go. Really great for, like high volume, SEO teams. It's got, it's coming up with like AI content tools, like, how to create a title, created, like meta description, and create an article and all of that. I haven't tried these out, but I think they're all kind of experimental right now. You can also see, keyword trends, how things are kind of going. Not available for me, right? But it kind of gives you an idea of like, what's the analysis as such. You can also do clustering of keywords, right? So sometimes a particular topic might have a lot of related keywords, right? So what you can do is you can put a lot of keywords together, and it'll be like, these are all the keywords that are built for this topic, and I just create one article for all of these keywords, right? All of that. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about, so there are all of these features. You can explore that in your own way. But one last powerful feature of Serpstat is the site audit, and it's a very comprehensive audit. It kind of replaces, not entirely replaces, but does pretty much 80% of what a tool like Screaming Frog would do for you, and that's a separate subscription, right? Um, so what it does is, so I've got a auto audit that goes, that happens every, I think once a month, right? And what it does is, it basically analyzes my entire website, right? And it basically, finds out any issues, if there's an HTTP issue, if there's no meta tags, if there's an issue with the meta tags, show me high priority, medium priority, and everything. And what's the best thing is you can actually download this as a PDF. Um, you can basically download it, and this particular report can be used with your clients, right? And if you're an SEO consultant, that's working with a lot of clients, you can basically give this report and add your recommendations, here are the things that I feel are like must do right now, and here are the things that we should do. I think while this Okay, so I think it's still creating that because it's a pretty heavy file. If it's analyzing hundreds of pages, right, and kind of doing that. So we'll just give this a little bit of time, but then so this is kind of like the summary page, right? Like here are the issues, here's the canonical that's mentioned, here's the length of body for every text, right? You can see all of the issues, right? So if there's any technical issues, like for example, meta description is too short. I have 7 of these issues. I've got a duplicate title. I have one of those issues. Broken image, one, all of these are like very quick win. You fix these and you see an immediate impact, right? You can do, an particular audit for a specific page, right? Um, Again, I think this is more like a premium, like a more advanced plan feature, right? And again, right, it shows you overall summary of, here are all of the, pages you have, you know, here's kind of like the issues. And this is kind of like a more spreadsheet style view, which is what I like, right? Because then I can, create filters and identify what's the right thing to do, right? So anyway, while the site audit report is being created, right? These are just some of the tools, right? There's also more project management tools, like you can create task lists and all of that. I won't get into that, right? But basically my favorites are the keyword research tool, the domain analysis tool, the backlink analysis, the rank tracker. Oh my god, like I love that. And then the site audit. I think these are kind of like my favorite features about Substack. Now, on to the bad things about Substat, right? Because I want the review to be very fair. Like, not every tool can make everybody happy. What are the things that it's not great at? So I think the first is, I think while the tool is fairly fast and seamless, um, and kind of easy to understand, in terms of user interface and everything, I still feel like I think it can be a little bit better, right? Because there's to be honest, just to kind of give credit to them, I think the user interface is pretty good, even though whatever like the some of their choice on what models they've used and all isn't that great, right? But overall, I think it's an easy user interface to get to, but I think there's a lot for somebody who just comes in for the first time, right? So for example, like I'm not a huge fan of like a project space thing, right? Like when I click on rank tracker, I want to just see my keywords. I don't want to like for example, go into the rank tracker, click on project overview. Right now it's already selected that, but earlier when I showed you, you have to choose which project and then it'll show you the keywords, right? So sometimes it adds a little bit extra steps, and then what can be done in 2 steps, it sometimes does that in 3, right? And that UI issue can be sometimes a little bit um, annoying, right? But yeah, and I think the other thing is that I think Serpstat, while it loads fairly quickly and it's improved a lot over the years, right? Like 4 years, earlier, like things used to move a lot slower, right? And there's a lot of data that they're obviously trying to load. There's a lot of analysis that needs to happen, but like this delay, like for example, when you see this, right? Like I have to wait sometimes like 7-8 seconds. It doesn't happen every time, but it happens sometimes, and this feels a little bit of a time waste, right? So I think this is another thing that sometimes I don't like that. And then I think the last thing is just that while I think that domain like their database gives a great idea, directionally accurate idea, right? A lot of times it's not very updated. So for example, like this blog, right? Like my blog gets a lot of traffic, but right now in their case, it's showing that you know I don't have any traffic, and I just rank for 20 keywords, right? And And this a little bit inaccurate, right? Maybe they're 3 months behind on the data. I don't know about that, but this can sometimes be a little bit of a pain, especially for smaller sites, right? Like if it's a big site, they probably have a lot more data, but like for a smaller site, a lot of times data is missing. Sometimes keywords don't have, they're like for example, I'm just gonna take a random example, right? Closest copy alternatives. Right? This is you know an AI writing copywriting tool, and like it doesn't have any data for it, right? And there's no way to even request for that data, right? Like request and they'll crawl it and then get that data, right? So that bit can be sometimes annoying, but I think like most times you'd find the keyword and the um whatever you're looking for, right? And it's pretty in depth for like the larger topics, not for like the smaller topics. Okay. um let's talk about plans and pricing, right? So Serpstat costs $69 a month, right, for like their most basic plan, which gives you plenty, right? Like 4,000 searches per day. You're never gonna have 4,000 searches per day, but it's pretty in depth, right? And then you've got, a standard plan that gives you, more access to features like, their API. This is again for more agencies, right? And then it'll give you white label reports. Again, these are more focused towards agencies, right? You would pretty much get everything you need in the light plan, right? And considering the price point at $69 a month, it's actually a very good price. When you compare with like the market leaders like Ahrefs and SEMrush, right? Like I think SEMrush is about $129 a month, right? And Ahrefs is somewhere about 100, right? And so this is at about 30%. Now, another thing is that if you take for a year, right, and they always have some kind of sale happening, right? It actually comes down to $48 per month, which is a pretty, like, I'd say a very good deal because there are hardly any uh, SEO platforms that are out there that are good, that provide a lot of mature features, like rank tracking, keyword research. Like these are all separate tools. People pay, separate for a keyword research tool, separate for a rank tracking, tools. People pay separately for a site audit tool and separately for a backlink analysis tool, right? You're getting all of this bundled into one tool and at like more than half the price of the market leaders, right? In exchange for like let's say 70% of the data that the market category leaders have, right? So if you're looking at the most affordable and a mature SEO platform, like I think Serpstat is a great choice, and I would highly recommend purchasing it. I've been using it for 5 years. I don't find like any issues. Like I think I'd say like 19 out of 20 times it works perfectly fine for me, and I've been able to grow my traffic really well, right? There might be like these one or two odd cases where I might use something like a SEMrush to get keyword research, but like if you're like for it becomes really expensive when you look at their tools, right? So for example, within rank tracking, right? Like there they give you, let's look at the um, rank tracker position checks, right? So 15,000 checks a month, right? Like even if you look at if 30 checks, like if there's a daily check for a keyword, right, that's still 500 keywords that you can track for like $48 a month, right? Which is nothing. Like I think with Ahrefs and SEMrush and all the others, they give you like 150 keywords, and obviously increases as you pay more for that, right? So I think it's a great value for money SEO platform, and I'd highly recommend it. Of course, if you're looking for just like absolutely perfect crystal clear data and like probably slightly faster interface, then I think SEMrush is probably a better choice. But overall, yeah, that's a little bit about Substat, right? So that, and then well, our report hasn't downloaded yet, so I'll just leave you till here. I hope that you liked this review, and if you liked it, please like and subscribe to our channel. And I wish you a wonderful day. All right, see ya.